we have been watching closely because we know, U.S. news affects the entire globe. If you look at the United Nations, U.S. and France and Britain, they are big bullies on a global arena. They terrorize every, institution of democracy. They dictate each direction. So now Trump makes a lot of noise, So maybe first we should congratulate him, just like any other, in a democratic dispensation, we have to acknowledge all the leaders that rise through the system and say congratulations to them for their victory as they celebrate. But for us, then it's really mixed feeling for Africa. As King, Kwame is saying there, Africa then has an opportunity to understand that they're not going to get the support, from the US. But also, it just presents an opportunity for us to, look into ourselves as Africa. And, there are a lot of other, US is losing ground. We're no longer living in a unipolar world. We live in a multipolar world now, we have relationship with global south, which is growing. Trade is growing. Relationship. We even coming up with our own payment systems. We're no longer going to depend on SWIFT. We're going to have our own reserve currency. We can trade in our own currencies. So really, the days of the West bullying Africa is gone. So it's almost irrelevant for Africa who then sits on that seat, because we have an agenda to detach ourselves from that umbilical cord. We're no longer gone are the days where Africa is looking for, freebies, aid, really, the West is becoming irrelevant. The dollar is falling. In fact, it's crumbling. Just like the pound has been crumbling, just like the euro is crumbling. So really, all of that is an opportunity for Africa to rise and fill the space, And, there's never been a ripe time for us as sons and daughters of this continent to look at ourselves and consolidate and encourage solidarity and say, guys, we can no longer look to the West for solutions for Africa. Let's look back in who we are and let's consider alternatives. Ubuntu. The world cannot dictate, democracy as a language or neoliberal policies of governments, and we just follow. Our leaders, I hear King Kwame is talking a lot of puppet leaders. So gone are the days where we want our leaders to be, running into the jets, rushing into the West. We now want them to do something different, before they cross the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean. We want them to, be firm and assert themselves on the continent, look inside, and perhaps start looking more to the East, we have more positive relationships with the East rather than the West because, it's peaceful, it's less hostile, it's equal relationship, we're treating each other like that. So, yeah, there's a mixed feeling really with Trump, but one of the things that I think tipped the scale is that Trump comes across what is positive for him. I remember his last term, he shaked things a bit with the American Federal Reserve Bank, moving it back into the control of the government. And he also, challenged the issues about abortion. Sometimes these liberal policies are destroying families. So that's the reality. So you can't be encouraging young people to be actually going for abortion when you are using your media to actually, encourage them to, sleep around and be more sexually explicit in the media, in the movies, you are encouraging them to do that. But then the next thing you want to do is, let's do abortions, so that does not build a nation. That we can't build a nation like that. So I think it was just a matter of time that American citizens will realize that, we like freedom, but there's a limit to it. there's a responsibility, you know. So I think from that point of view, we watch and see the space, because we also now hear, you know, Trump was always aggressive towards China, is always aggressive towards Russia, is always aggressive towards Africa. So I don't know how he's going to respond with BRICS, but BRICS is here, and he's moving on. So if he, you know, he doesn't play his card right, you know, that may be the fall of US as we know it, because things may accelerate. Why the solidarity of Africa and BRICS will accelerate when he becomes more hostile. And I think perhaps that's a good thing for us, so that we have sovereignty, you know. So maybe it's a good time for Africa. We must celebrate and rejoice.